Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of TK's Parking Lot Picks. It is a wet Wednesday here in Cleveland. It's August 26th, 10 games on the slate today. We got some stud pitching, some pitchers returning from disciplinary reasons, some good stacks on the slate, and some spots we can avoid. Not sure what the weather looks like right now. That's usually something I get to closer into the day. When we get closer to lock is when I like to get into the weather. Unfortunately, yesterday we got struck with some of the rare things in DFS when teams call and postpone games or matches, or the roof leaks in NBA, squirrels on the field, COVID reasons, anything that happens to us here in DFS, it's tilting. But we move on. It was extremely profitable in GPPs because of how much exposure people had to the Yankees. It was a game where it wasn't raining at pitch. It wasn't raining an hour later, but the game was called and postponed. But we try to do our best on weather. There's sometimes nothing we can do about it. But we're moving on, and we're getting into a big slate today. So let's jump in. First in, we got Jacob Degrom facing off against Miami for the third straight time. 7.5 total, minus 260 favorite. He is 11K. This is the first time I've seen 11K pitcher since, I think, last I can recall, it was either Degrom himself or it was Bauer. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it was Degrom. Either way, 11K is pretty tough to pay for in cash. But with a couple of pitchers in this 8K range that I like, I think I'm going to avoid trying to pay for his salary because I'm struggling to find spots I love for hitting. Like yesterday, I really loved the Cardinals, White Sox, unfortunately the Indians, and that kind of worked out. The Tigers were my favorite GPP stack, and that kind of helped out as well. But enough about yesterday. Like I said, Degrom pitching today versus Miami for the third straight time. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, 7 Ks last time out versus this same opponent. What do we know about Degrom? The same thing as it is every year. Low ERA, high strikeout rates, high swing and strike rates. He's going to get a very, very bad Marlins team. This is a perfect spot for GPPs. Do I think you have to pay for the 11K in cash? No, because there's other spots. We'll get into that right now. Mike Clevinger versus Minnesota, 8.5 total. Even matchup on the money line, 8,900. The last time we saw Clevinger before he was disciplined from the Cleveland Indians for going out on the town in Chicago a few weeks back. He's making his return. He went 5 2/3 innings pitched, only gave up 2 hits, but he walked 5, and he only had 4 Ks for Cincinnati. The thing about Mike Clevinger, and this is widely reported in our area, is that this is a debut for his next team. He is supposedly on the trading block and will be traded. So I think Clevinger is going to be putting up a big number on the board, either for Ks or for runs. He's either going to get blown up and say, fuck off Cleveland, or he's going to be like, all right, I'm going to show my next team I mean business. I want paid. So what are we going to get from Clevinger tonight is going to be totally GPP. I'm not going to expect anything other than a boom or bust scenario because he knows he's about to get traded. The Indians know they're going to trade him. Every fan knows they're going to trade him. So this is it. Last start for Clevinger and Mike in Cleveland tonight. Hopefully we get a couple big bats because the Indians can't fucking hit. Excuse me. Sorry, my language. It's pretty brutal today. Rough work day. Anyway, Sonny Gray versus Milwaukee. 8.5 total, minus 110 favorite. 8,800. I like Sonny Gray a lot. It's no secret. I talk about him every time he's pitching. The Milwaukee Brewers have a lot of strikeouts in that lineup, like I allude to every single time I target the Brewers. Sonny Gray can strike out a lot of them. He's got a high swing and strike rate. Last time we saw him, he went six innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, 6 Ks. So I do like Sonny Gray tonight versus Milwaukee. I think the price is right, and I don't mind this for cash. I think I like 2 other spots and a punt. So we're gonna look in to see what we have for hitting and determine later on what we want to do for pitching on, maybe Degrom and an 8K pitcher, and there's a cheap value stack. I'm not sure yet. Closer to lock, I'm gonna have a better idea of what I want to do. But moving on, Dinelson Lamet versus Seattle, 8.5 total, -216 favorite, 8,600. This is most likely going to be my favorite cash option in the 8K range. 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 9 Ks versus Texas last time out. Lamet's been very solid this year, posting fantasy numbers in the high 20s numerous times this year. He does have big K numbers. So I love Lamet. Seattle's going to give him a lot of righties. Unfortunately, they have Kyle Seager, so that's always one bat to look out for home run upside. But J.P. Crawford and D. Gordon and some of these other lefties, they don't pose the power threats that I worry about in lineups. And Lamet does really well at limiting hits and contact. So big spot for Lamet tonight. I love him in this matchup. Next up, we have Jose Berrios versus the Tribe. 8.5 total. Like I said, it was even on the money line, 8,200. So you're getting a 700 discount for probably the winning pitcher, because I think Clevenger could do really well, but I don't think the Indians can hit the ball at all. So I like Berrios, who owns a really good ERA and record against the Indians lifetime. Last time we saw him, he went 6 innings pitched, only gave up a hit, and only had 1 walk, 9 Ks versus Milwaukee at his best outing. His slider's really moving well this year. He's got that changeups, fastball option, big movement on his pitches. The Indians going to fork out a bunch of shitty people on the bottom of their lineup, and Berrios is going to mow him down, just like he does every time out. He gets through the top of the order. I don't think Berrios is going to have a problem. So now what's going to happen with the weather tonight here in Cleveland, I'm not sure. It's been raining here all day, so that's something we have to look out for. But I do like Berrios a lot today versus the Indians. Next up, we have Taiwan Walker, 7,100 versus San Diego, 8.5 total. He is a 260 underdog facing off against Lamet. But last time we saw Walker, he went 7 innings, only gave up 4 hits, 3 runs on 3 solo shots. So, he is prone to giving up home runs, but, he did have 8 Ks, and he only gave up 1 walk. So, and that was against the Dodgers. You would expect something like that against the Dodgers. Dodgers hit a lot of home runs. They have a lot of power lefties, and that's exactly what you worry about versus Walker. But when Walker's not walking guys on base, those home runs don't turn into 3-run shots, and the solo shots you can live with if he's going to get over 7 Ks. He's facing off against San Diego. They do have some lefties like Hosmer and Cronenworth, but those guys I'm not really scared to hit homers day in and day out. Tatis is on the San Diego as well, but we're going to get a big ballpark in San Diego. I'm not really fearful of the Padres hitting 3 or 4 home runs against Walker. As long as he's not walking anyone, I think we're going to be all right. 7,100, a good price tag to target Walker. I think he really has some upside in this spot. I think I'm going to have some MME exposure to him in GPPs. Next up, we have E. Hernandez from Miami going up against Degrom and the Mets. 7.5 total, like I had mentioned. He is a 260 underdog, but he is 6,600. And this guy scored over 10, 15 points for fantasy for about 4 straight starts now, and everyone keeps doubting him, but I think now people are going to jump on him here. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs on 2 homers, 1 walk, and 6 Ks versus Washington last time out. I believe Hernandez, from what it looks like, is going to be a pretty solid option tonight. I think he'd be one of my favorite punts. There is another one I will mention, but Hernandez is worth a flyer. Anyone down here is not something strong for cash unless it's a complete misprice. I don't know too much about Hernandez to know if it is a misprice, but it's not something I'm going to target just yet for cash. Next up, we have Kevin Gossman versus the Dodgers. 8 total, 215 underdog. He is 6,400. I do like that price tag. 5 innings pitched, 9 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, 8 Ks versus the Los Angeles Angels. Excuse me. But yeah, the Angels been really bad this year, but Gossman been fairly decent, so I thought that line looks pretty dead on. That's what you expect with Gossman. 5 to 6 innings, 7 runs, 3 to 7 runs, somewhere in there. 6 to 8 to 9 Ks is about what you can expect. Let's just hope he doesn't get blown up in the spot versus the Dodgers. This game will be on ESPN in San Francisco, so I don't expect a lot of home runs like the Dodgers typically do. Gossman's pitching fairly well this year. I think he's worth a flyer at 6,400. Moving into some games for hitting. Spots I like. This Cubs-Tigers game is a game I like. I'm not sure what the weather looks like up in Detroit yet, but I do like the Cubs versus Fuller in the bullpen. I like the lefties in this matchup. Baez is starting to get a little hotter. Cubs can have some cheap bats in that lineup that could hit at the top of the order. That's something to look out for. 10.5 total. So this is a decent spot. Tigers versus Leicester. The Tigers have been hitting fairly well. Their prices are always under 4K. Isaac Paredes, Nico Goodson, and Candelario and players like that offer great value. Leicester is never someone I target nor am afraid to use stacks against him. Tigers worked out really well last night, kept me in the top 100 in a GPP, and that turned out really well. Moving on to the next game, I like the A's and Rangers. A's facing off against Allard. Rangers facing off against Fires. This is a 10 total. The A's have been one of the hottest teams in baseball. I'm going to be all over this stack. This might be my favorite stack. I know it's going to be expensive, though, so this is what I was alluding to with a couple pitchers in the 8K range, and maybe the A's stack is something to target for cash. But, yeah, the A's are going to be a really good spot tonight. Allard, terrible. Rangers versus Fires is pretty good as well. I like the lefties in this matchup. Maybe Gallo hits a big bomb tonight. You could maybe look into Kiner Falefa, and they've been leading off this Leody Tavares guy, and he's been really cheap outfield option. But there's some decent catcher from the Rangers, whether it's Trevino or Robinson Chirinos. I don't mind either one of those options as well. Next up, we have the Cardinals versus Junis. I don't expect Junis to get longer than 4 innings. He's been battling COVID and injury issues throughout the year. The Cardinals have been one of the hottest teams of late, coming off of their COVID delay. 9 total. I think they get a big win tonight versus the Royals in their home ballpark. Not to be afraid to go back to the Cardinals. Next up is probably one of my other favorite games of the slate, Rockies and D-Backs. I love the Rockies versus Ray every time they match up, no matter the ballpark. Nolan, Blackman, any of them. I like all the big hitters against Ray. D-Backs versus Gray is another awesome spot. These two have faced these two pitchers have faced these teams so much that they know every hitter, and every hitter knows them. It just produces a ton of runs every time this matchup is happening. I believe it's already happened once before this year in Coors. If you want to try to deep box score that game, I suggest you do. 10 total. Giants versus the Righties versus Kershaw. I'm not afraid of it. Kershaw has looked a lot better this year. He's got a fastball pumping a little bit better, but I'm gonna be in favor of the Giants Righties like Flores, Joey Bart, and Donovan Solano and Austin Slater. And then lastly, we got the Dodgers lefties versus Gossman. So like I had said, Gossman gives up homers. He strikes people out. I'm not afraid to go to Seager, maybe Jock Peterson. Big ballpark, though. I wouldn't expect a lot of homers. So if I'm going to do the Dodgers thing, I'm going to stack them up because I don't think there is a one-off homer upside in this matchup because of where they're hitting today. But that'll wrap things up. As always, please like and subscribe my video. We got a lot of good things going on here at FSI. Another PGA event coming up, playoff event for the BMW Championship. Make sure you get to that video as well. WNBA, NBA closing up its playoff 3-game sets. You want to get into that. They get into Showdown as well. Same as hockey. So NFL's on the horizon, guys. As always, please subscribe our videos, and thank you, and have a good day.